Will Bosi is up to Session 6 on Return of the Sleepwalker. American climber Sean Bailey makes the first ascent of a V16 boulder. And Stefano Ghisolfi announces a release date for his upcoming film about his first ascent of Excalibur 9B+. We have a lot of exciting things to cover today. Welcome to August Climbing. My name is August. I often cover only one climb or climber per video, but with so many things happening simultaneously in the climbing world right now, today's format is a little different. Let me know in the comments if you like this format, or if you prefer videos that cover only one piece of climbing news at a time. That being said, let's kick things off with Will Bosi. By now, I'm sure you've heard about Will Bosi's first 3 sessions in Black Velvet Canyon near Las Vegas, Nevada. He, of course, managed to send Sleepwalker V16 or 8C+, and subsequently suggested a downgrade to V15 or 8C. You can learn more about that in this video. Will has now shifted his focus to the Sleepwalker Sit Start, Return of the Sleepwalker. This Daniel Woods V17 or 9A first ascent from 2021 has yet to be repeated. Could Will Bosi be the climber to do it? On January 28th on Instagram, Will writes, "Session 4 update, finally dried so I could get back on this king line. And somehow I managed to finish the session with it in 2 parts. A long way to go to get it dialed in, but the progress is amazing." And from this same session, Will includes some interesting specifics about the crux move in his broadcast channel. He writes, "I was struggling to repeat any of the links on the top part, and I wasn't making any progress with the crux move on the bottom. The crux move is the 4th move where you do a long move into a left-hand Gaston and then do a savage footwalk and then come over into a side pull above. After a while of trying everything, I finally found a beta that works well for me, and after repeating it a couple of times, I was somehow able to link from the start into the stand." So Will is making great progress on this boulder, and make a mental note of this high point here that he got to, because we'll come back to that. But Will also alludes to one of his biggest challenges right now being the weather, specifically the rainy weather that's been hitting the Las Vegas area recently. Now on to January 30th, where Will talks about his Session 5 update on Return of the Sleepwalker. "I managed a 1-move high point, so getting the pinch before the sloper, so I've almost made it to the crux from the sit. Lots of progress on the individual moves too. Can't wait for the next session." And we saw from Will's Session 4 update a moment ago that his previous high point was matching both of his hands into that undercling, whereas here in Session 5, he gets 1 extra move, getting that right hand out to the pinch before falling off. After achieving this new high point, Will shares what the rest of his Session 5 looked like, saying, "I then gave quite a few more tries from the start, but wasn't able to get into the stand again. I finished the session by repeating moves and links on the stand." Then on February 2nd, Will tells us, "Managed to just get Session 6 before the rain started again yesterday. Although it was short, I had a very productive session. I spent most of it trying a harder version of Sleepwalker, where you start from the holds the sit uses, which I got really close to and felt like I was starting to move really well." Will doesn't share a video here for additional context, but it appears that he's working on a version of Sleepwalker that starts a few moves lower, but not so low as to be the full sit start. He did attempt the sit as well, saying, "I only had 1 go from the sit, but climbed it well and felt really strong going into the stand." So he's consistently getting from the sit into the stand where Sleepwalker starts. And what is Will's own assessment of where he's at in this projecting process? He says, "I reckon I'm 1 to 2 sessions away from trying to give proper red points. Just got to hope the weather improves." And the weather seems to be the main limiter here. Hopefully it will clear up so Will can get more quality sessions on this boulder problem. In the meantime, he's enjoying some Scooby snacks and trying out some of the other great climbs that America has to offer. Next up is an incredible V16 or 8C+ send from American climber Sean Bailey. This send comes from the Buttermilks in California on the iconic Grandpa Peabody boulder. It involves a lower start to an existing highball boulder problem called Devilution V12 or 8A+, which was first ascended by Jason Kell. Prior to that, the legendary Chris Sharma climbed this line up to the lip for what is now called Evolution to the Lip V10 or 7C+. Let's see what Sean has to say about this send from February 3rd on Instagram. Devilution V16. Psyched on this one. Devil adds 2 moves into Evil. A hard drive-by off a bad pinch followed by a long move to the start of the stand. No texture and very few feet options makes this thing super powerful. First move is the business, but linking the 2 moves together becomes the crux. A full body tension move followed by a snappy jump. It's all about getting the shoulder well enough and having enough in the tank in the right arm to link the second move. I thought it was close to over when I got into the stand. I wasn't prepared for how pumped and numb I was on the final moves. Almost lost it up there. Full value experience. Wow. Huge congratulations to Sean Bailey on this send. It's one thing to read about it and see these incredible photos, but I for one cannot wait to see this send footage. I think we will all be eagerly anticipating that. And speaking of send footage, Stefano Ghisolfi has some exciting news. From February 3rd on Instagram, he writes, "Today, 1 year ago, I was climbing Excalibur, marking the first and only, for now, ascent of the hardest route in Italy and one of the hardest short routes in the world. I know you waited a long time, but it's finally coming. Save the date, February 12th. So finally, we're going to be able to see the much anticipated footage of Stefano's first ascent of Excalibur 9B+. I assume this will be on Stefano's YouTube channel, but we will see. It's pretty wild that no one has yet repeated this route. Let's hope that Bosi returns to Excalibur sometime in 2024, as on his previous trips, he appeared quite close to sending this climb. Now for 2 other quick things to keep on your radar. First, MABOO Climbing Gym in Tokyo, Japan recently published an interesting video on YouTube where they set a Burden of Dreams boulder using these now iconic core climbing holds. In this video, we see pro climbers Naoki Shimatani and Shinichiro Nomura. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced either of their names, but they have a first session to make attempts on this Burden of Dreams replica. It's really interesting to see their initial progress, and I'll link to this video in the description so you can see it as well. Definitely keep an eye on these guys, and who knows, maybe after a few more sessions, they'll be planning a trip to Finland. Second, you of course know that Simon Lorenzi made headlines recently with his repeat of Burden of Dreams. In an interview following his ascent, I found it quite intriguing what he talked about in regards to his future plans. This interview is from Karpala on 8a.com. I'll link to the full interview in the description. But when asked about his future plans, Simon responded, "First, I'll do my best to be selected for the Olympics, and after that, I plan to go to the USA to try Return of the Sleepwalker and Megatron." Return of the Sleepwalker has been on the top of my list since a few years, so I'm super excited for that one. Megatron looks super nice too, and actually they both look to fit my style, so let's see what I can do. Aha, so very interesting that Bosi may not be the only European climber to come project American V17s in 2024. Let's see what happens. Check out this next video for my recent bouldering session in Hanoi, Vietnam, or this one for more background on Bosi's send of Sleepwalker. And hey, my name is August. Thanks so much for watching.